Or what?
They're leaning into woke. Hardcore.
They're petrified of some kind of backlash.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive.
It was a wholesome family film, and now they've turned it into woke trash.
Joe Rogan and Bill Maher go off on Rachel Zegler's Awoken Snow White farce. This isn't just another celebrity squabble. It's a seismic event that has left studios reeling, fans split, and critics scrutinizing every decision made by Disney.
The controversies surrounding Disney's Snow White remake show that we are still in the thick of the culture wars. Oh, have we been following the Snow White?
Actually, the first time hearing of it.
Today, we look into how one star's over-the-top attitude and dubious studio decisions met head-on with popular outrage, turning what should have been a wonderful remake into an iconic train disaster.
The two stars are Gal Gadot,
before you,
who she was in the Israeli Defense Forces. She's Israeli, and then Rachel Zegler plays Snow White. I think Gal plays the. I was not a child, so I don't follow. I don't know fairy tales. I never read comic books. But something is this the one with the poison apple and the whatever it is?
It all started when Disney, in an effort to modernize a timeless classic, elected to replace the legendary Seven Dwarfs with an eerie cluster of CGI.
And then they couldn't put dwarfs because this is just so typical of the left. The progressives always finding a way to find their way back to doing something not progressive. You'd think the most progressive thing would be get people jobs, and dwarfs want to work.
With a production cost of an astounding $270 million and a further $230 million spent on marketing, the film offered a new viewpoint on the iconic fairy tale. Instead, it delivered a dead, soulless spectacle devoid of the warmth that made the original
Prince Charming in the traditional fairy tale and in the 1937 movie has been replaced by a common...
Early on, Rachel Zegler, once regarded as West Side Story's budding star, began making news with her forthright interviews. She saw the 1937 masterwork as weird and derogatorily labeled the original prince as nothing more than a creeper, boldly asserting that anybody expecting a real love narrative.
The original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so.
Okay.
There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her. Weird.
Her words didn't merely ruffle feathers. They created a firestorm that spread like wildfire. Almost soon, the internet exploded. Memes, viral video, and scathing criticism saturated every social media outlet. It wasn't long before Joe Rogan and Bill Maher weighed in with their own critical comments.
So they're in. And Rachel Zegler, being 23 or whatever she is, like so many kids raised on TikTok, she's all for infantada is the only global solution. So the two stars hate each other.
Rogan, famous for his unfiltered critique, examined every misstep in a no-holds-barred manner that resonated with millions of fans tired by Hollywood's newest misfires. Meanwhile, Bill Maher, with his customary comedy, blasted the film's woke approach and the vanity he detected in Zegler's disdainful attitude toward the classic story.
Well, here's actually Rachel Zegler, who is the new Snow White, and she's talking about Snow White being woke.
Can you tell us a little bit about your version of Snow White?
Yeah, I mean, Snow White is the girl you remember, but she's definitely made for the modern age, and there's such an emphasis on what it really means to be the fairest of them all. And for Snow White, it's coming to terms with finding herself and finding her inner voice and finding a sense of agency so that she can be a just ruler and a wonderful queen, because there's another one in town who's...
We have a different approach to what I'm sure a lot of people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie. Right. Andrew Burnap, great dude. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's how...
And you wonder why people are turning from this stuff.
Their statements reverberated far and wide, turning this argument into a global phenomenon and setting a new threshold for public duty in the entertainment sector. The calamity at the box office just reaffirmed what many had anticipated. The picture managed a dismal $43 million. A statistic so terrible, it soon got the notoriety as the worst-performing live-action remake in Disney's recent history.
It was a wholesome family film, and now they've turned it into woke trash.
Critics and audiences alike criticized the picture for its over-the-top modernizations and for taking away the warmth and romance that had marked the original. Every financial failure was accompanied by an avalanche of critical reviews, and the public uproar became fiercer with every passing day. Joe Rogan's acute insights and Bill Maher's caustic humor underscored the point. A hefty budget and a modern twist are no match for a story's heart and soul. Behind the dazzle and magnificence, the mayhem was much more obvious off-screen. Insiders described a tangled network of internal disputes, casting issues, and last-minute production adjustments that compounded the films.
I know this point has been made, but this truly is the worst casting maybe in the history of the film.
The studio's attempt to remake Snow White for a new age met violently with the deep-seated nostalgia of lifetime followers. Every poorly planned option, every rushed production call, heaped fuel to an already burning inferno of criticism.
One of the reasons why Rachel Zegler sticks around is she's got a beautiful voice and she has some talent. So I think that certainly helps her because she's a PR nightmare. I don't know how anyone...
As the behind-the-scenes strife unfolded, both Rogan and Maher took the occasion to underline the clear mismatch between present ambition and the veneration for the source material, a divergence that finally proved lethal. As the outcry intensified, the impact on Rachel Zegler's career became brutal.
A tweet from Eric Daughtry, just in, an enormous cultural failure, Disney's Snow White, which cost $250 million to produce, raked in a miserable $43 million during its premiere, and that's from the AP. Other Disney remake in the same amount of time, Lion King did $1.6 billion, Cinderella $67.9 million, Dumbo $46 million, and you can see people just don't want to be blood.
Once heralded as Hollywood's new hope, her reputation now teeters on the verge of disaster. Her disrespectful words about a beloved classic and her firm stand on rewriting the tale have alienated a huge number of the fans.
If it ain't broken, don't fix it. Leave it the alone.
Studio executives are supposedly exploring new films involving her, and her every statement is now scrutinized by a public that has little patience for arrogance. Both Joe Rogan and Bill Maher have underscored this transformation, showing Zegler not as a star in ascendance, but as a cautionary narrative in the era of social media, a lesson that uncontrolled ego may fast wreck years of potential. Yet, this narrative is about far more than one actress misstep. It's become a cultural classic, a remarkable instance of how the conflict of modern ideas with old story may lead to dramatic calamity. The incident has forced the industry to re-examine its approach to remakes.
Hello, Disney. You're going to have to redo your film again because this woman is a pig and you fired Gina Carano for far less than this nonsense.
Can a picture with extravagant budget persist when it loses the spirit that made its source material iconic? Analysts, fans, and reviewers are currently involved in a fierce debate over the future of such remakes. Andrew Bold commentary from Joe Rogan and Bill Maher have become rallying cries, reminding everyone that innovation must always be tempered with respect for legacy. Moreover, the incident has raised bigger issues about the state of celebrity culture and the role of social media. In today's digital world, a single ill-considered comment may transform a career in an instant, and every prominent figure is held accountable in real time. The Snow White catastrophe has become a case study in how the confluence of art, business, and personal expression can spiral out of control. It's a heartbreaking reminder that although reinvention is necessary, it must never come at the price of what made the original tale so cherished. And when Joe Rogan and Bill Maher continue to weigh in, their words serve as both a warning and a call to action for creators globally. In the end analysis, the terrible implosion of Disney's Snow White remake and the furious reaction from voices like Joe Rogan and Bill Maher serves as a stark illustration of what happened when contemporary ambition oversteps its limitations. It causes us to ask, can Hollywood ever establish the perfect balance between innovation and tradition? Or will we continue to see high-budget catastrophes born from a foolish attempt to change the past?
There's not that many scripts that come down the pike.
No, only 7 of them.
That has, and there's 7 dwarf jobs here. But because I think it was Peter Dinklage said this is, this is not right. This is demeaning. And they were like, what? We just want to work. We're dwarves. So, ho, ho, ho.
Yeah. As conflicts flare and every new remark further escalates the situation, one thing remains evident. In this new era of entertainment, respect for timeless storytelling isn't only wanted, it's vitally essential. So, what do you think? Is this the final nail in the coffin for Rachel Zegler's career? Or is there still a prospect for atonement in the eyes of an audience that expects authenticity? Will Hollywood learn to cherish its precious classics? Or are we condemned to face future tragedies caused by unbridled ambition and clashing ideologies? Will Hollywood learn to cherish its precious classics? Or are we condemned to face future tragedies caused by unbridled ambition and clashing ideologies? Drop your suggestions in the comments below.